How do animals communicate? Every animal has their own form of communication. However, every animal's form of communication can differ. Animals can communicate visually, by sounds, in a tactile manner, and by their chemical makeup. A few examples for visual communications are fireflies, peacocks, and cobras. Fireflies glow to attract the opposite sex. Peacocks use their colorful tails during courting rituals, and cobras scare off other animals by inflating their hoods. Examples of auditory communications between animals are male whales, elephants, and wolves. Male whales use songs to communicate to female whales. Elephants talk between herds by using their trunks. They are able to make loud enough sounds to communicate long distances. Wolves howl to one another in their pack. Other examples of auditory communications could be between dogs or also birds, things you hear on a daily basis.
An example of tactile communication is between dogs, baboons, and horses. Dogs lick their offspring to create an emotional bond and to clean them. It also helps to stimulate their development. Baboons use physical touch to express their affection. They groom each other in order to create a bond. Horses use violence by kicking one another to establish dominance over one another. An example of chemical communication is between ants, cats, and skunks. Ants use their pheromone trails to create trails for each other to follow. This is why ants will travel in single file lines. Cats physically rub their bodies against one another to mark their scent. Skunks use their odor to scare off predators.
Another example of animal communication is olfactory. Olfactory is less obvious to most people. A lot of mammals have glands that have a distinct smell that leave a long-lasting odor in their tracts. The odor is often found in feces, urine, and sometimes even sweat. However, sweat does not leave an odor as long or near as strong as the feces or urine. Certain animals have glands whose sole function is to deposit their scents as a mark for mating. Cats, for example, have glands on their stomach and deposit their scent by rubbing next to stable objects. In the past, there have been many researches conducted in order to better understand animal communication. The research was made to see if chimpanzees could learn to use sign language. All attempts so far had been a failure. Gardner, however, decided to attempt this one more time. He stated that it was most important to make a distinction between language and communication. During Gardner's experiment, he used a specific procedure and method. He decided to use a young chimp because its brain had not been fully developed yet. The chimp was taught mostly by using operant conditioning. The chimp seemed to learn some signs by observing and imitating them, but the scientist would have to often mold her hands in the right shapes when teaching the chimp new signs. When the chimp would do something right, they would praise her and she would want to do them correctly again. In conclusion, we have discussed with you the many different ways that animals communicate. They can also be taught to communicate in many different ways and styles, but most of their communication skills come very naturally. Animals talk to one another and learn to communicate in different forms just as humans do.